open up my 3D warehouse and search for a gas station. That's what we're going to be building today. So I'm going to go with this gas station here because I've already looked at it previously. It's only 366 kilobytes. I like smaller sized files. Those come in a lot easier, just like anything. So once I open it, I can just drop it into my model here. So what I want to do, I want to grab this pointer and I can actually get into where I double click and I select this base here because I'm actually going to get rid of that and erase it. There we go. Makes our block a little bit smaller, and then we can also come to our window here and do model info. And if I come down to statistics, I can purge any unused information. That way, if this block wasn't built all that well, I can now get it cleaned up and it's as small as I can get it. So next thing we want to do is actually export it as a 3D model as a .dae file. And when I export it as a .dae file or a collada file, now that's something that we can actually bring into SITEOPS. I'm not going to save it. I've already got it. Now all I have to do is come over to my blocks tab. I've opened up a dummy project or dummy property here already. And I've already previously loaded in the gas station that we just did as gas station generic. It just takes a little bit to bring that thing in. But what we want to do is hit on this little say open up button here next to the SketchUp button and locate that file. So if I come here to gasstation.dae, we don't want to get that folder. We want to get the .dae, which is a reference to all the information in that folder. And then I would normally hit open and you can fill out your information on the block there. The other way we can do this if you're in Microsoft is actually just to click on this SketchUp block here, and that automatically opens up Trimble SketchUp and automatically opens up the warehouse and does a really quick and easy way to download blocks, although it doesn't give you the opportunity to delete any information or run the purge unused. So that's the easier and faster way to do it. If you've learned to do it that way, go ahead and go that route. Now I'm going to open up my gas station by double clicking it and waiting for it to load into my model here. Elevator music. Do 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 do. And just remember, we don't really want to do anything until that thing's done because we can get our computers confused pretty quickly. So once I drop my gas station into my project here, and I'll actually downsize my property boundary because I'm not going to be working on anything that large, so that whatever it is I bring into SketchUp is much smaller. And there we go. So I'm going to grab this block, right click, and do take a slice. It's going to ask me for the relative elevation on that block that I want to do. I'm going to do a 0.5. That way I can get these gas station pumps, the curbing for those involved in here. And I'm just going to grab the center point now and move it out of the way. Now I've got line work at the relative elevation that I just asked to take a slice. Just dummy path lines, and now I can grab my layout, do a building area, come to this endpoint, that endpoint here, out to that, come all the way around here. And what this is going to do is actually grade in SITEOPS a level pad for me to drop that block in on top of. So now if I do a big window, I can grab all my custom line work. I'll just grab all the custom paths and delete them. And now I can move that block back in on top of my building pad that I just created as best I can. Now I can draw in a parking lot area if I want to. Just do something like this. And obviously I'm going really quick so it doesn't look all that great. There we go. Let's pull this in some here. There we go. Even those out. Run my layout solver, and obviously I want to get rid of all my parking on my building. Come to my properties. Select all my sides and uncheck allow parking. That way I've just got the parking in my parking lot here. Pull that down so I can get those spaces to open up. And now we'll just draw in a couple drive paths. Say coming out to there. And spacebar to repeat my last command. There. Maybe I want to move these in a little bit. There we go. There. Now we're talking. Tiny little gas station, lots of parking spots. It's not really necessary. But for our purposes here, that's all I really need. So what I want to talk about next is actually building a block boundary. So let's come in here to draw, and I'll take a path, and I'll build a boundary for which I'm going to actually build a forest around my property here. So we can make it look nice. Close the path. And now I'm going to check is a block boundary while it's still selected, and I'm going to change my spacing here. Let's see what 25 feet does. That looks like a lot. That looks pretty good. I'm going to interweave the rows to randomize things, give them a random distance off the center point to where all these blocks are currently located. Also give them a random rotation, and then throw in a random size of 50%. So it's going to vary from its original size by 50%. All over the place, and that's going to make it look like a forest. So the next thing we'll do is bring in another block called the palm tree block, and I'm just double clicking on it, and once again elevator music while we wait for it to load. I'm at a hotel right now where the internet is always just a little bit slower than you'd like it to be. And now it's finished, so I can plop that. I'll just plop it for now right in the middle of my parking lot here. And the next thing I'm going to do is also draw in just a path, so we can do a block path at the front of the property here, so you can see how that works as well. And my path, and it's the exact same principle. If I check is a block path, it'll throw blocks along this path all the way around it. And you can give it a count or a block distance. I'm actually going to change that to like 6. I like even numbers. So now is what we'll do is we want to assign that tree block to these center lines. So if I type in assign block, I hit enter, and now it says center line to assign block to. So I'll take this center line first and select this block, making sure I select the center point. Now I can see it's all loaded. It's replaced those block icons. And I'll type in the same thing, assign, see it pop up here at the bottom, assign block. If I hit enter, I'll do the same thing. I'll grab my block boundary and my center line, and now you can see everything's loaded in. Now we're actually good to go check this out in the 3D viewer if you want, and you'll see the blocks in there, but I'm going to run my grading solver. Actually, I won't because this is a flat area. I'm not going to run my grading solver and just sort of leave everything as is and export directly to Trimble SketchUp. And yes, I do want to export it as a flat site. I'll say OK. I'm going to create separate layers on import. Yes. Use underlay image as texture. No. Proposed finish grade. Sure. Parking lines, parcel lines, buildings, yes, yes, yes. And I do want to bring in blocks. And I'm using a post 2013 and post 2013 version, so let's go ahead and click OK. Now it's going to automatically open up Trimble for us. I'm going to say start using SketchUp. It's going to drop our site in there for us. Awesome. So now we've got our forest back here with our varied trees. Obviously it didn't really randomize here like we may want to. I should have made it a little bit bigger. And then our block path, and I even left that guy in there, which I'll just get rid of him. So now is what we can do. It's one of my favorite things about this is I can actually geolocate. Even if you've geolocated in SITEOPS, when we export to SketchUp, the geolocation is not going to still be there. So we want to geolocate in SketchUp, and I'm actually going to drop it in, say, right over here. Select region. Maybe I'll just select that location. Maybe this open space is still open. Let's just grab that. And I'll wait for it all to finish itself off. Yeah, it looks pretty good. And now we can actually come to File and say Preview in Google Earth. So this will automatically open up Google Earth. Say Close. Fly into our site here. And now we can see it's kind of covered because the topo doesn't match my flat topo that I'm bringing in, the topo of Google. And I've also got my 3D buildings turned on here, so all these buildings pop up and all the trees in this area pop up as well. So what we can do to actually sort of fix our site is if I click on Model, if I've dropped down these extra options here from the SketchUp preview, so what's that showing? If I open that little drop down, grab my model, and I right click it and I say Get Info or Preferences, depending on what you're working in, I can now grab that model and move it around. Let's zoom back in here. And I'll move it to here. And I can also add some sort of an altitude, maybe 1 meter will be enough. Yep, that pulled it up enough.